You're about to see which car brands might not even exist a year from now. Because right now, the auto industry is going through one of its biggest shakeups in history. Factories shutting down, brands bleeding billions, and dealerships quietly dumping stock before the public catches on. According to Automotive News, more than a dozen automakers have reported double-digit sales declines in 2024, and several are already closing dealerships across the US. Once trusted names are now ghosts of their former selves, selling fewer cars in an entire year than Toyota moves in a single week. And here's the scary part. Some of these brands are still convincing buyers to spend $50,000 or more on cars that may have no future at all. From EV startups on the verge of bankruptcy to legacy brands that have completely lost consumer trust. These are the 9 automakers that might not survive 2025. Stay with me until the end, because one of the brands on this list is so deep in trouble, even its own dealerships have started refusing new shipments. Number 1. Chrysler, the American icon that's barely breathing. Once a symbol of American luxury and innovation, Chrysler is now a brand on life support. In 2024, Chrysler sold just over 56,000 vehicles in the US. That's not a typo. To put it in perspective, Toyota sells more cars than that in a single week. The lineup is basically gone. The legendary Chrysler 300 sedan, discontinued. The Pacifica minivan, it's still around, but plagued with electrical issues, stalling problems, and over 15 separate recalls since 2020. Even Stellantis, Chrysler's parent company, isn't hiding the truth anymore. Their CEO publicly said the brand is being restructured and will have to justify its place in the portfolio. That's corporate talk for we're deciding if it's worth saving. And here's where it gets worse. Dealerships are already preparing for the end. Multiple reports show Chrysler dealers refusing to renew long-term franchise agreements, cutting down their floor space, and in some states, converting Chrysler showrooms into Jeep or Dodge lots instead. Why? Because customers just aren't walking in anymore. The brand has one of the lowest market shares in US history, under 0.3%. Think about that. From dominating American highways in the 1950s to barely existing today, Chrysler promised a comeback with EVs like the Airflow concept. But after 2 years of delays, that project has quietly disappeared from Stellantis' official roadmap. If you're a Chrysler owner right now, your resale value is already taking a hit, with some used Pacificas losing over 40% of their value in just 3 years. The truth? Chrysler might not make it to 2026, and when a brand with nearly a century of history fades out this fast, it's a warning for what's coming next. Because the next brand on this list, it's not just dying. It's already being abandoned by its own dealers. Number 2. Mitsubishi, the brand which dealers are quietly walking away from. Remember when Mitsubishi meant excitement? The Lancer Evolution, the Eclipse, rally wins, and turbocharged power. Those days are long gone. Today, Mitsubishi is hanging by a thread. In 2024, the company sold just under 95,000 vehicles in the US, down nearly 20% from the year before. And that's after massive discounts and zero-interest financing. Dealers are starting to panic. According to Cox Automotive, the average Mitsubishi now sits on a lot for over 170 days before selling, one of the worst figures in the entire industry. And that's not all. Mitsubishi's lineup is outdated and shrinking. The Mirage, their cheapest car, is being discontinued after 2025, leaving just a couple of SUVs that haven't had real redesigns in years. Even the Outlander, their so-called flagship, is suffering from CVT transmission failures, infotainment malfunctions, and weak resale values. Consumer Reports ranked it near the bottom of its class for reliability and driving experience. Financially, Mitsubishi's US operations are on life support. Their parent company in Japan has already pulled back investment, and rumors are spreading that they'll exit the North American market entirely by 2026. And dealerships, they see what's coming. Some Mitsubishi franchise owners have already filed to terminate their agreements, saying the brand's future is uncertain and unprofitable. Think about that. When even the dealerships don't want to sell your cars, you're already halfway to extinction. Mitsubishi once sold over 345,000 cars a year in the US. Today, they sell barely a quarter of that. At this point, the writing's on the wall, and if you buy one now, you might be holding a car from a brand that doesn't even exist a year from today. And trust me, the next brand on this list, it's not just struggling with sales, it's bleeding money every single quarter. And it's one of the biggest luxury betrayals of the decade. Number 3. Alfa Romeo, the luxury brand that's beautiful, but broken. Alfa Romeo, sleek, exotic, and pure Italian performance. But behind that beauty is chaos. In 2024, Alfa Romeo sold barely 11,000 vehicles in the entire United States. That's less than what BMW sells in a single week. And here's the ugly truth. Those few who did buy one are paying the price. Consumer Reports ranks Alfa Romeo as one of the least reliable brands in the world, sitting near the bottom with Land Rover and Fiat. Owners report constant electrical issues, failing sensors, engine misfires, and transmissions that give out before 30,000 miles. The Giulia sedan and Stelvio SUV look amazing in the showroom, But in the real world, they've become maintenance nightmares. RepairPal estimates the average annual repair cost at nearly $1,500, double the industry average for luxury cars. And it's not just owners losing patience, dealers are too. Across multiple states, Alfa Romeo dealerships are merging with Fiat and Maserati just to stay afloat, because there's simply not enough traffic to keep the lights on. Even Stellantis, their parent company, is quietly pulling back. Internal reports suggest Alfa's US lineup could shrink to one model by the end of 2025. And here's the kicker. Resale values are collapsing. A 3-year-old Giulia, once priced near $50,000, now sells for as little as $18,000 on the used market, a drop of nearly 65% in value. Luxury buyers expect exclusivity, not unreliability, and Alfa Romeo has failed on both fronts. At this point, the brand that was once known for passion and performance is now known for tow trucks and warranty claims. If Alfa can't turn things around and fast, 2025 could be the year this Italian icon vanishes from American roads entirely. And if you think Alfa's collapse is bad, wait until you see what's happening to the next one. A company once called the Tesla killer, that's now losing money faster than it can build cars. Number 4. Rivian, the Tesla killer that's killing itself. When Rivian first launched, people called it the future of American innovation. The R1T pickup and R1S SUV were supposed to dethrone Tesla. Rugged, high-tech, eco-friendly, and built in the USA. But here's the harsh reality. Rivian is running out of road. In 2024, Rivian lost over $5.4 billion. And that's after slashing prices, cutting jobs, and halting expansion plans. Analysts estimate the company burns through nearly $35,000 in cash for every vehicle it sells. Think about that. They're losing more money per sale than most automakers make in profit per car. Production is another disaster. Rivian promised over 60,000 units in 2024, but barely delivered 57,000, with thousands of back orders still unfilled due to supply chain issues and software glitches. And speaking of glitches, Rivian owners are facing serious problems. Reports of suspension failures, water leaks, power loss, and touchscreen malfunctions are piling up across online forums and complaint databases. According to J.D. Power, Rivian ranks among the worst EV brands for initial quality, with more than 230 problems reported per 100 vehicles, nearly double the industry average. Even their new Adventure network of chargers has hit delays, leaving Rivian owners stranded or relying on third-party chargers that don't always work properly. And here's the kicker. Rivian's stock has collapsed over 90% since its IPO, wiping out billions in investor value. Major backers, including Amazon, have quietly reduced their orders for Rivian delivery vans. Dealers? There aren't any. Rivian sells direct, and that's becoming a huge problem. With no dealership support network, owners are waiting weeks or even months for basic repairs because parts are backordered and service centers are few and far between. Rivian was supposed to be the Tesla alternative. Instead, it's become a warning. At this rate, without a major buyout or government intervention, Rivian could run out of cash before the end of 2025. So if you're planning to buy one, you might want to think twice, because the truck of the future could soon become another EV orphan story. And speaking of orphans, the next brand on this list already is one. Once a comeback story, now it's a complete collapse. Number 5. Fiat, the struggling Italian icon. Fiat, once synonymous with stylish European city cars, is facing a serious threat of disappearing from the US market. Its sales have been in freefall for years, dropping 69.3% in 2020 to just 11,301 units, then plummeting 83.5% in 2021, and by 2022 only 160 units were sold. Even with a slight rebound in 2024 to 1,528 units, Fiat's presence is almost negligible. In the first half of 2025, sales sank again to only 916 units, a nearly 95% decline compared to previous years. Fiat's model lineup in the US is painfully thin. The main offering is the 500e, an electric city car with limited range and minimal space. In early 2024, only 204 units of the 500e were sold, leading Fiat to pause production of the hatchback. Meanwhile, the 2025 500e starts at $30,500, with higher trims reaching $35,500, putting it at a price disadvantage compared to other EVs offering more range and features. Adding to the challenge are tariffs affecting Fiat's parent company Stellantis, which faces a $1.76 billion impact in 2025, further inflating costs and making it harder to compete in the US. With declining sales, a limited and aging lineup, high pricing, and economic pressures from tariffs, Fiat's future in the US looks grim. Unless major changes happen, this once iconic brand could vanish from American roads, becoming a rare sight for enthusiasts and collectors alike. Number 6. Genesis. Luxury at risk. Genesis, Hyundai's luxury division, has earned praise for sleek designs and high-tech interiors. But in the US, the numbers tell a troubling story. In the first half of 2025, Genesis sold just 22,000 vehicles in America, a fraction of competitors like Lexus, which sold over 140,000 units during the same period. Despite glowing reviews, most Americans still don't recognize the brand, and limited marketing has left it struggling to gain traction. A major hurdle is that the majority of Genesis vehicles are imported from South Korea, making them subject to a 25% tariff, which adds around $6,000 to the cost of each car. Even the GV70, partially assembled in the US, relies heavily on imported parts, causing unpredictable pricing and supply shortages. Without a stronger US presence and more affordable, locally produced models, Genesis risks fading quietly. If Hyundai doesn't ramp up production, marketing, and dealer support, Genesis could become a rare sight on American roads, an expensive, high-end luxury you'll struggle to find. By 2025, this once promising brand could vanish from showrooms faster than most drivers realize. Number 7. Buick. The American legacy in trouble. Buick, once a cornerstone of American luxury, is now struggling to maintain relevance. In the first half of 2025, Buick sold just 62,000 vehicles in the US, a modest increase compared to previous years, but far behind competitors like Cadillac, which moved over 150,000 units in the same period. Meanwhile, sales in China, a key market for Buick, have plummeted by 18% year-over-year, creating a double blow to the brand's global standing. The US lineup leans heavily on SUVs like the Envision and Envista, but its sedans are slowly disappearing. Younger buyers often see Buick as outdated, and the brand's limited EV strategy has left it trailing behind competitors who are aggressively expanding electric offerings. With shrinking sales, a declining presence overseas, and an aging lineup, Buick risks fading into obscurity. By 2025, this once iconic American brand could be reduced to a niche player, seen mostly in older households, while younger drivers move on to brands that feel fresher, faster, and more relevant. Buick isn't just struggling, it's teetering on the edge of irrelevance. Number 8. Lucid Motors. Electric dreams, but financial nightmares. Lucid Motors burst onto the EV scene with bold promises of luxury, range, and cutting-edge technology, but the reality has been harsh. In Q1 2025, Lucid delivered only 3,109 vehicles in the US, and globally, while reporting a staggering $229 million loss, which equates to roughly $73,600 lost per car. Even after the launch of the Gravity SUV and a spike in deliveries to 4,078 units in Q3 2025, the company is still far from profitability. Production challenges and supply chain delays continue to hinder growth, and rising costs make it difficult for Lucid to compete with established EV leaders like Tesla, whose Model 3 and Y are produced at much larger volumes and lower costs. Early buyers also face uncertainty with limited service centers, delayed deliveries, and questions about long-term reliability. With financial losses mounting and production scaling slowly, Lucid Motors is walking a tightrope. If the company cannot achieve profitability soon, it risks vanishing from the US market entirely, leaving owners with rare high-end EVs that could become nearly impossible to maintain. The dream of owning a Lucid may soon turn into a nightmare. Number 9. Infiniti. The luxury brand on the brink. Infiniti, Nissan's once proud luxury division, is rapidly losing ground. In the first half of 2025, US sales dropped 12.7% compared to the same period last year, and several key models, including the Q50 sedan and QX50 crossover, have already been discontinued. The lineup is now thin, leaving buyers with limited choices, and younger consumers are largely ignoring the brand in favor of flashier, more innovative competitors. Imported models face tariffs and rising costs, making them pricier than rivals with better value. With only a handful of vehicles remaining and consumer interest declining, Infiniti is losing its foothold fast. By 2025, Infiniti could vanish almost overnight. Imagine driving down the street and spotting an Infiniti, one of the last left, and realizing that the brand you trusted for luxury and performance is disappearing forever. Dealerships may be empty, models you loved could be gone, and what was once a symbol of status may become a ghost of the past, rare, coveted, and nearly impossible to find. Infiniti isn't just struggling, it's on the brink of complete extinction, leaving fans shocked and collectors salivating over what remains. And that wraps up your 9 auto brands that will vanish by 2025. From Fiat's tiny city cars to Infinity's fading luxury, the US auto landscape is shifting faster than ever. Genesis struggles to be recognized, Buick battles relevance, Lucid fights profitability, and the rest teeter on the edge of obscurity. These aren't just small setbacks, they're warning signs. The brands you've grown up admiring, the models you've dreamed of owning, could be vanishing from dealerships entirely in 2025. Picture it, driving down the road in a few years and seeing a rare Fiat, a lone Lucid, or a disappearing Infinity, and realizing these cars might be some of the last of their kind. Some will become priceless collector's items, others will simply vanish, leaving behind nothing but memories and regret. So here's the real question. Do you agree with this list? Have you had experiences with these brands that make you think twice? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your stories, and let us know which cars you think will survive and which ones are doomed. And if you don't want to miss more shocking updates about the car industry, hit that subscribe button and check out our playlists in the description. You won't believe what's coming next. It's going to change everything you thought you knew about cars.